minutes. It is 6 p.m. Are we recording yet? Okay, our meeting now will commence for a special call council meeting. The time is 6 p.m. Notice is hereby given that the above call meeting of the governing body of the city of Balcones Heights, Texas will be held on Wednesday, November the 6th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Justice Center located at 3300 Hillcrest Drive, Balcones Heights, Texas, 78201, to consider and act upon any lawful subject which may come before said meeting, including among others, the following items to be discussed and acted upon. We're going to call to order and recording of a quorum, and I see that we have a full quorum. Invocation and pledges of allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flag. I don't have it, so whoever has possession of the prayer document can recite the prayer, or we can, okay, Councilman Sellers will be doing the invocation. I don't have it. That's what I was saying. I don't have it, so.
All right, that cover your heads, please.
Here we go. You have it there?
Sure, I got it.
Together in your presence, thanks to you. But we ask that you guide our hearts, choose our words, so that we may be positive influence our citizens in our city. Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. Thank you, everyone. Okay, now we're going to have a public comment period, so I want to make sure I disclose again that we must maintain decorum in these meetings. Everyone is allowed to speak their mind and have their input, but it must be done within professional standards and decorum. So anyone, including the council, needs to follow parliamentary procedure to make sure that we follow it and conduct our business in a professional manner. Anybody that does not comply will be removed from the premises. And there will be zero tolerance. Okay, so at this time, citizens who have filled out a registration form prior to the start of the meeting may speak on any topic they wish to bring to the attention of the governing body, so as long as that topic is not on the agenda for this meeting. During the citizens to be heard section, no council action may take place and no council discussion or response is required to the speaker. Citizens who wish to speak on a specific agenda item, when that item is called for discussion, must fill out a registration form prior to the start of the meeting indicating which agenda item they wish to address. So we have right now several people that have signed up to speak. And the first one we have is Mr. Cito Cantu, 141 Glenarm. Mr. Cantu, you're welcome to come forward. And in Spanish, he wrote written, quiero hablar de la basura y del, ¿qué dice aquí? ¿De qué más? ¿De la basura y qué más, Ciro? What else?
Y de por qué están aumentando los precios
Why are the
de la basura.
He wants to speak of the trash delivering, and he wants to speak on as to why have the prices gone up so high. Mr. Cantu, you can speak.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you understand my English, pero I want to know who was the one he adopted this law to increase the prices on the trash? Who councils was the ones? I'd like to know which one approved this thing. Changing 3 times the companies of the trash, you're not supposed to change it every year. 3 times a year is too much. Why? So increase the prices, you're gonna get something or what? We wanna know why you increasing the prices on the trash. Also, on the things they're gonna recycle, okay? If you get something you're gonna recycle, Okay, you think they're gonna make money to recycle it? Okay, you're gonna put it apart and all that, put it in a trash can and all that, because they're gonna recycle, they're gonna make money. Now, we had to pay for them to make money. We had to use our money for them to make money too. That's too much. I don't know why. I don't understand. I'm a Mexican, but I don't understand English. I want to know why and who was the one that says, yeah, go ahead and charge more. Get another company that can charge more. That's what I want to know. Why? Who's the one? Who put the law? Which one? There was one, two, three guys, three consuls. Which one? Which one? Just raise your hand. Tell me, I was one. If you want what? Let me know. Because, see, already old people, and we are a lot of people that we're old. Why? Why we have to throw the little money the government will give us? Why? There's no reason. You want to know how much I get from the Social Security? $12,000 a year. Nothing. So I had to kill myself doing something so I can make a little money to pay my bills. Okay? Now, you're going to increase the bills? I want to know who did it. It wasn't you, Mayor, right?
If I may,
It was the councils.
if I may just, I'm going to explain it in English and then I'm going to explain it in Spanish.
Sure.
So we're not allowed to answer you. We're not allowed to speak with you and answer your questions because by law, we're required just to listen, pay attention, and then allow you to say whatever you need to say. So
That's good.
en español, no, por ley no podemos responder.
Mhm.
Pero puedes preguntar, puedes decir lo que tú quieres, pero nosotros necesitamos que estar silencios para no aplicar una contesta. So, ellos te están oyendo, te están
I want to know if they're going to do something about it.
Mayor, you can let him know that there is an item to discuss that item today.
Yeah, and
So-
otra cosa, vamos a tenerlo en la agenda para hablar. So,
Ajá.
a ese momento puedes venir para atrás y ahora sí te pueden contestar a ese tiempo. So, ese item va a estar en número 1. Acabamos con todo esto que estamos discutiendo.
Okay?
El número 1, puedes venir otra vez para atrás
Ajá.
y puedes discutir lo que quieres decir. Y
Ok.
ellos tienen el derecho a ese momento para responder.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
So at that point, you can speak in item number 1 when it comes up as well. And at that point, the council can respond to your questions. And then they can individually answer you if they want. Okay? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. Thank you for coming out. Okay, we have now the second one. I think we had Lamar Gillian, 324 Glenarm, but he's going to speak on item number 1. Is that correct? Okay, sir. Thank you. So I'm going to read to the record some of the emails that the city received. And I think, is that okay in accordance?
And on an agenda item or just general comment?
Ms. Merlo, can you answer that, please? He received them and conveyed them to you.
It's pursuant to the agenda item number 1, sir.
So I would recommend you read them when we call item number 1.
Would that be all of them? Oops. Counselor, would that be all items or just this one? It depends on the content.
Yes, sir.
Yes, they're all relevant to item number 1. Okay, great. And we will now. We finished with that item there. There's no more other people that have signed up to rather citizens to be heard. Is that correct? Just one?
Just the ones I gave you, Mayor.
Yeah, okay. And then we had Mr. Gillian, but he wants to go at number 1. Correct? Let's move on down then. So we move down to the business items. Is that correct now? Okay, let's go ahead and move with item number 1. Discussion and possible action regarding Frontier Waste Solution contracts. Mr. Lotta, you go ahead, you're up, but I'm going to read these into the record first. Is that okay? And Mr. Gillian can come up and speak afterwards. This is from Mr. Bill Warheit. Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, 11:15 a.m. And to our city secretary, subject Frontier Waste Solutions Agreement. I thought the agreement was a price of 59 for 3 months, not 84. Why would the city change waste management for an increase of $25? Oh, yes, thank you. I tell you what, let me turn this one on as well. That way we got double coverage. Thank you for that, that site. Okay, so the second one, Mr. Paul Haig, let me read this one just in case it wasn't picked up. So Bill Warheit says, I thought the agreement was a price of 59 for 3 months, not 84. Why would the city change waste management for an increase of 25? This is another one, Mr. Paul Haig, received Saturday, November 2nd, 2024 at 11:14 p.m. I would like to know why Balcones Heights changed garbage companies. Thank you. The next one is Lucio Nunes, Wednesday, November 6, 2024, 9:14 a.m. Subject questions November 6, 2024, Balcones Heights City Council meeting, reference Frontier Waste Solutions Bill. Hello, Ms. Merlo. Because we're unable to attend the special meeting tonight, November 6th, please convey our thoughts and questions to the council. Along with other Balcones Heights residents, we were surprised by Frontier Waste Solutions Bill for waste management. We viewed the video on August 2024 regular council meeting, during which the briefer said that there would be a slight increase in the bill for Balcones Heights residents. The 41.6% increase is not a slight increase. Our questions are as follows. Was the change of this service from Republic to Frontier approved by a city official or the council without knowing just how much our bills would increase? How was the decision made to change from Republic to Frontier? If the change was made to improve waste management service to Balcones Heights residents, what improvements offered by Frontier justified this great increase? We look forward to learning more about this issue. The next one is Kathleen Falkowitz, but it is titled and signed by Donald Falkowitz, 107 Leisure. Frontier Waste Solutions Agreement is the topic. I am puzzled as to why we changed waste companies. Frontier cost $84.60 every 3 months. Republic Waste cost us $59.77 for 3 months service. Besides the higher costs, Frontier is very strict on how and what is placed in their carts. This means more work and cost to homeowners and less cost and work for their company. If our cost was reduced by the Frontier changing might make sense. I'm not thrilled with the change. Shame on Balcones Heights for putting this on our citizens. As for hiring procedures, I have nothing to add. The old staff and new people recently voted in surely would be able to figure this one out. Thank you for your input, Donald Falkowitz, 107 Leisure. And so, Mr. Former Councilman Gillian, you are up, sir, after that. Okay, sir, you have that granted. Okay, so everyone knows that I called this special meeting immediately when I started hearing the input from the citizens, texting me, calling me, and they wanted to know exactly how this came about. And I explained to them this is a decision that council made and that they could come to this meeting that we call to answer any questions, any kind of concerns you might have so that we can transparently address your concerns. And so I called it right away, right after our last meeting, as soon as possible, time allotted within the time. I asked Mr. Lotta to place it on the agenda and he got it on there and gathered all the information. So Mr. Lotta, you're up after this. And also sent out that, just so you know, that postcard as well. I instructed staff to send that out as an extra measure to make sure people would be notified and they would know to come to the meeting to answer it and present any questions they have. So I took that extra approach to make sure we reached out to you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So basically on my staff report, I went ahead and researched all the correspondence that occurred because to lay the groundwork of how we got to where we are today. As you know, while back, we had an initial contract with C6. I'll even go back that far. I didn't put it in the background, but I think most people know this, that C6 was our solid waste management company. And I don't have the exact year, but C6 basically was bought out or sold to Republic Services. And so that's how we got Republic Services. So they took over an existing contract. And in that existing contract, yeah, it gave them a length that the contract was valid for. It also allowed them to make adjustments to their rates. And it's usually based on CPI. So the increases probably were not that major. So anyway, so Republic was doing the service for the city. So then on April 22nd of this year, Republic Service then notified the city that it would not exercise its option to extend the existing waste management contract for another year unless the city would open up the contract. In other words, they wanted to completely renegotiate the contract. And what they meant by that was either reduce the number of days that they picked up garbage, but definitely they wanted to increase the rates beyond what they were allowed by the contract. So if they had extended it for 3 years, they would still be bound by the original contract. And they did not want to be no longer bound by that contract, which was the original C6 contract. So that was the only way that they would entertain extending for 3 years, which that contract allowed. So the city asked for Public Services to provide rates and level of service for the communities that are, around San Antonio, and give us an idea of, okay, how does it compare to what we're getting now? And so that it can be briefed to council. So on May 3rd, Republic Services responded with the information requested by the then city administrator. And they provided a spreadsheet. And in that spreadsheet, Public Services listed, which I assume was their initial proposal, comparing to the other cities that we had. Their original proposal was to increase it to 27.19 because they had our city, and that's what they had as the proposed rate. I understand that I was not part of that communication. I only saw the email. So any phone conversations that occurred between the city administrator and Republic Services, but that's the rate that was originally put on that spreadsheet that showed us compared to the other cities around us here in San Antonio and Balcones Heights. So then on May 14th, the city administrator requested, hey, for Republic Service, okay, give us a proposed rate adjustment, because obviously that was unacceptable. So May 20th, 2024, Republic Service provided a proposed rate adjustment. And this proposal showed, and I'm only talking right now about the residential. They proposed $24.30 per month for the existing level of service. City administrator received direction to issue a request for proposals for waste management services. So the city decided, okay, let's go ahead and let's get other companies to bid and see if we can get a better rate. Because that's the best rate that we got from Republic was, like I said, for the residential was $24.30. So on May 21st, they responded to the large increase to their commercial rates. And then the city administrator notified Republic Service of our intent to go out for the RFP. So then Republic Service, they, by their right in the contract, then notified the city that that contract that gave us the $59, that was gonna end September 30th of this year. So that contract was gonna end. There was no more contract with Republic Service beyond that date. So we had from May till then to get our RFP out, the request for proposals, and then bring on, get solicitations. Hopefully try to find somebody who was lower than what they were proposing so that we can move forward and get them on board before the end of September. So on June 5th, 2024, the city issued the RFP for the services, and we closed the date on the 28th. So basically, we took the month of June to issue that RFP. On July 8th, at the special budget workshop meeting, the council authorized the city administrator to negotiate with Company B. So we got the bids in, the council got to see the proposals. They didn't see who the companies were. They saw only A, B, C, and D. And so B was the company that the city administrator basically requested permission because he felt that was the best proposal that was given to us, and that was Frontier Solutions. So then Republic Service, by the way, Republic Service did not change the original bid that they gave us prior to the RFP. So they basically were saying, this is what we gave you, and that's exactly what they put in the proposal. So there was they didn't feel there was going to be any competitive bid, I assume, but that's what they gave us. So then on July 22nd, 2024, the council granted Frontier Waste Solutions permission to meet with Balcones Heights customers, because at that point, they needed to start contacting so they could start the transition. So then on August 26th, the city entered into an agreement with Frontier Waste Solutions that was going to be from October 1st of this year, 2024, to September 30th, 2029. And then the city, if the city had chosen Republic Services, please understand that the bill would have increased on their monthly residential rate from $18.41 to $24.30. So the original $59 was no longer on the table. And they never offered that. So we also have representatives from Frontier here, so they can listen and they can also answer any questions. So council, that's all I have as a background. And in case y'all have any questions, be more than happy to answer.
May I be recognized, Mayor? Thank you. Mr. Lar, thank you for that detailed history of the situation with our solid waste providers. So I do want to bring up some of the information that was provided to the city council during that July meeting. So again, we were given just company A, company B, company C. That way there could be no potential conflicts of interest on our part. So when we looked at them, Republic was proposing a monthly fee of $24.30. Company B was proposing a monthly fee of $22.59. Company C was $27.18, and Company D was $29.88. So when we looked and we reviewed the level of services that were being suggested by each one, 2 times a week, with the brush pickup plus the quarterly pickups that are being offered, the city council made the choice at that time to go with Frontier because it was the price that was quoted to us was $22.59. That was the most economical choice we could make at that time because, as Mr. Lar stated, the Republic fee was going up to $24.30. So unfortunately, our waste services charges were going up regardless of what city council did. We could not keep them down at the previous rate of that $59 that everybody was used to. So with the information that we had and the choices that we had, we went with Frontier because we felt that would have the lowest impact on our citizens. I do want to point out that the charges that Mr. Gillian provided actually shows a charge of $24.59 a month. So that is something that we need to, I think, rectify with Frontier and find out why is there a discrepancy there between the quote of $22.59 versus what the actual charges of $24.59 is. Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Mayor. I was just going to show a little presentation, but Mr. Gillian can go ahead and speak.
Go right ahead, Mr. Gillian.
This on? Hear me? Oh, okay. Councilman Sines, back to what you were saying, the 2259 and the 2459. I think if you look at the recycle
Yes.
section, it's interesting when you look at that, because if you get one pickup on recycle a month, it's 660. But if you get, a week, if you get two per week, it's 440.
It's 460, but yeah.
460.
that's
Thank you
$2.
very much. So there's a $2 difference. And I think that chart should be flip-flopped. So right there, I think there's a $2 overcharge. After hearing what Mr. Laura outlined for us, sense what's going on to me. It would have been very beneficial for the citizens to have had that presented to them, was it the 24th of August or the regular August meeting? Because we wouldn't be having this meeting right now, I don't think. We certainly wouldn't be having it with me standing up here, because it would make more sense. How it was briefed is the problem. It was not briefed in detail. In the past, we actually had, as a council, we would have the contract, folks that were going to bid on the contract to the council, a contract proposal, and we would have all the facts out in the open. But going back to the bill itself, when we were presented this, we had no knowledge of the increase with Republic. So we were briefed, this will be a slight increase. So as a citizen now, instead of sitting where you gentlemen are, as a citizen, I'm thinking 59.73, a slight increase, maybe 10%, somewhere around 60 something. And those are the words that were used by the briefer. I won't mention names, but that was the words that were used by the briefer. It will be a slight increase. So I'm thinking 67. So when I got the bill for 84.66, I was surprised like a lot of you. But anyway, Mr. Laura, you made it very clear. I think it's just a matter of sharing the information with the public on the details. And like I said, I wouldn't be here. A lot of people here wouldn't be here, because everything is going up, and your RFPs validated that. Everybody's going up, but that's not what we were told. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Gillian, former Councilman. Mr. Valverde, you had.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mayor, council, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present some information that I put together to try to explain this. Yeah, that's the first sheet. I understand citizens are here tonight demanding answers from council as to why trash rates had an increase of 41.6, and I don't blame you. But the council was briefed by the former administrator, which stated that there were no changes in the trash services, and that there was going to be a minimal increase in our bills for the Frontier service. Let's not forget all the complaints from many residents about Republic leaving trash behind, recycle bulk, and leaving debris on the streets. And that's a reason for a change, one of the reasons. Out of 3 or 4 companies bidding the contract, the administrator chose Frontier companies having the best rate for the provided services. In the past, as Mr. Gillian said, all companies placing bids for the contract had a representative attend council meetings to provide details and to include rates for their services and answer questions. The council members would have a copy of their contract with complete information from all bidding companies prior to selecting a company. This year, the council depended on the city administrator and did not have an opportunity to see all contracts and ask questions to the representatives. I am recommending to the council to go back to the old ways and have representatives at the council meetings to present their services and rates. This will give the council an opportunity to look at all the bidding companies' contracts and also the residents. This way, the council can make the best decision for our city services. Let's look at the Republic new proposed rates. The new contract starting in October with Republic was not going to continue with the same rates of $59.77 every 3 months. If the city would have continued with Republic, we will still have an increase of 39.9% for their service. According to the Republic, they were operating in the negative with the city of Balcones Heights, and that's why they increased their rates. As we all know, everything is increasing in prices, and we don't have control. We don't have a choice either. For example, SAWS, CPS, health, and car insurance, groceries, etc., prices keep going up. These solid waste disposal companies must pay high fuel costs, maintenance on their vehicles, landfill and recycle costs. And I'm sure that they pay liability insurance, vehicle insurance, and employee pay and benefits. So that's why they must increase their price for their service when they negotiate a new contract. Now let's look at the Republic rates. Many upset residents showed up at the council meeting to complain about the rates, not knowing that the Republic was going to increase their rates from $59.77 to $83.64 in the new contract. Republic proposed rates for the new contract is $24.30 for trash, and I just found out tonight, I thought it was twice, so just once a week, and recycle once a week. Their franchise fee and sales tax is a total of $10.74. If you take $24.30 times 3 months, that equals to $72.90. Then you take the $72.90, I'm sorry for the blank screen. But you take the $72.90 and add your $10.74, and that equals to $83.64. Those were the rates for Republic. So the rate would have not been $59.77. It would have been the new rate of $83.64. Let's look at the Frontier rates. The Frontier rates are $24.59 for trash twice a week, not once, twice, and recycle once a week, which is a difference of 89 cents more than Republic. The franchise fee and sales tax is $10.89, which is a difference of 15 cents more than Republic. You take your $24.59 times 3 months, and it equals to $73.77, which is a difference of 87 cents more than Republic. Take the $73.77 and add your $10.89, and that equals to $84.66, which is the bill everybody got, which is the difference of $1.02 a quarter more than Republic services. So if we would have continued with Republic, we would have been saving $1.02 every 3 months. But we get a little bit more service with Frontier for $1.02, because I understand Frontier picks up hazardous materials once a month, when Republic was once a quarter, once a year, once a year. Yeah. So this concludes my briefing. I'm hoping everyone is satisfied with the explanation for the rate increase. I know some residents are struggling financially, but as I mentioned earlier, we cannot control rate increases. I didn't mention the service for commercial or bulk pickup because the main concern is a residential trash service. We just had the first bulk pickup by Frontier, and I was a little concerned because some residents had huge piles of branches exceeding their 6 by 6 by 6 rule, and I didn't think they were going to be picked up, but they were. Just a reminder, the city will continue to provide a dumpster once a quarter at different locations for residents to get rid of brush and trash, and you will be notified by email. Email or newsletter or flyers. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Councilman Burton. Councilman Burton, you have the floor.
Thank you. In answer to that gentleman's question, who did this? The council did it. It was a unanimous decision because it was actually cheaper for us. That's the short answer. Me personally, I'm not a recycler. I don't recycle. I'm not green. I drive a hybrid, yet I'm not green. So if you take 8466 and you multiply it times 4, that's for the year. You come out to $338 for a year worth of trash service with Frontier. They allowed me to take my recycling off. And that comes out to $61.95, which is just a little bit higher than Republic. I don't have to recycle. I didn't accept the bin when they were passing out the bins. That if you multiply that times 4, that's $247.80 for no recycle, but with your trash service. And just out of curiosity, I asked a friend if he would let me have his San Antonio electric bill. If you take San Antonio charges for their city fees, they charge $35.25. And if you take that minus the $1.50, because the $1.50 of that is for parks, that comes out, you multiply that times 12, that's $405 a year. So Frontier is a better deal than San Antonio and better service than Republic. And so I just wanted to answer your questions. Who did this? I think it was a unanimous decision.
Mayor, if I may.
Excuse me, Mr. Seller is asking for recognition
So
when he's finished.
So,
Then we'll go to you.
I don't know if that can continue with Frontier, if that was a one-time complimentary thing for me to be able to take my recycling off. But it works out, $57 versus $61.95 with all your fees. So it's not that much. And believe me, I live on a fixed income now. And as of October, I'm on Social Security, and I get it. I watch my pennies for my medication, anything I do. My insurance has gone up, and believe me, I get it. It's a little more money, and I just unless something better comes along, we're stuck with Frontier for 5 years. I don't believe there's any type of out clause unless they can't meet their obligation. So in a nutshell, I just wanted to answer your question since nobody else did. Thank you.
Councilman Sellers, you have the floor.
Yes, I wanted to add to what Councilman Burton said about the recycling.
Turn your mic on.
He had the knowledge and foresight to not accept the recycling bin when it was passed out. I didn't have that knowledge. Okay, so I called the other day, and they're going to come by and pick my recycling bin up. That's saving me almost $20 every port. Okay, so you can do that. It's a shame that we're charged to recycle. We're trying to do our civic duty and recycle, but we're being penalized for it. And I'm on disability too, so I try to make $1 wherever I can to make up for that. And so I choose not to recycle, save that $1. So y'all could do the same thing. Just call them up and tell them, pick your bin up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Sellers. Councilman Sines, did you want to have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that on the vote, it was 4-1. Mr. Sellers voted against it. The rest of us voted for it. So
Thank you, Councilman Sines.
Mayor, if,
Councilman Lysia, go ahead.
I don't know if we're already scheduled to have Frontier come up and do whatever presentation they would have to.
Yes, I'll call for that when I'm ready.
Okay. And as
Thank you.
far as the recommendations, it was a decision that we made collectively, and we did take everything into consideration, understanding that the financial situation of all the residents. It was not something that was done just because we did it. We did our due diligence, we studied, we reviewed it. So rest assured that the decisions we make as a council, we take a lot of time and research and making sure that we can provide you, the residents, the best service and the best quality of life that we can provide for you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Make it very short if you can, Mr. Gillian, please. So we don't have, very short, so we don't drag it out too long. We've still got to
Some
get.
people get up here and it's never short.
I
Um,
get it.
What I'd like to say is, council, please go back to Frontier and find out why it cost $660 for one pickup on recycle week and the other one says $440. That may be a savings of $2. And the question, the comment, you can't hear me? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. And comment about, we had C6, Jack, I'm sure remembers this, and probably Miguel too, and Laura, Mr. Lasea, Councilman Lasea. Had C6 several times, Mr. Cantu said, we lose money on recycle. Y'all remember that? You remember? So recycle is a losing proposition. It's done out of, I think it's, the company does it because it's a green initiative and it's good for the community, but it's a losing because what happens on recycle, most people don't follow the rules for recycle. They don't wash anything. They don't remove labels that don't go, are supposed to be recycled, and they have to separate all this because it is a losing endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gillian, very much. So, basically.
Mayor, I think you had a
Yes,
resident.
I'm paying attention, Mr. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, and I'm just
Thank you.
trying to go
So-
through the motions so we can.
So, wait a minute. So basically, from my observations as mayor, what I see that the problem was, and I've discovered and investigated the situation very carefully. It was lack of oversight over the city administrator. What the city administrator did not do is he was receiving communications from Frontier and from the waste management company that we had prior to that, and he was not sharing that information with us. When it came down to the process of the RFP, he presented those RFPs to us when they had come back in. But he did not present the names like he did when we did our search RFP for the possible hiring of an employment agency for positions that were going to be coming available. I had objected to that and asked him why. He said, well, under the rules, can't do that. I wanted to compare and find out who the companies were so I can investigate a little bit more diligently, contact the companies and speak to them personally to determine which positions they had in their propositions that they were making. We could not do that. So when it finally came to vote, and when the administrator brought it to us, there were column areas, and then he had highlighted in yellow which one to choose and which one he was recommending to the city council. What the council did not have before them was the information that the increase that they were talking about was going to be exponentially higher than what we originally were paying because of the fact we were at the $59 rate, which was much less. You take off the franchise fees and the sales tax. It was less than the $59 we were paying. Yes, costs went up. The cost of working, the cost of delivery services went up, cost of gas. So where Gilbert Perales, our former city administrator, failed to do is bring that information to us to tell us it's going to be the same price as Frontier is providing to us of the fee of the $82. And it will be 99 cents difference. So when he said it's not going to be more than $9, $10 more, he did not provide that information to the council so they could make a logical decision based off of that. So the council, taking the word of the city administrator, said he was not going to go up more than $9 or $10, I think the rate was going to be, was somewhat of a true statement had we had the information prior to that. knowing that comparing apples to apples, I mean, it would have been 82 to 84 or 84 to 82, very close to Frontier with the increase that Republic was going to be coming up on. So that is where the misunderstanding occurred with the council. And they voted thinking we're going to be at that same rate. Well, it wasn't at the $59 rate. It was an increase to 82. But the solution to the whole problem right now, because we're locked in for a 5-year contract right now. So I scrutinized that contract very carefully. And I had done that before, but of course, the council is the one that makes the decision. I can only recommend to them. So at this point, we have a 5-year contract. The way to reduce your bill right now, the solution to your problems right now would be to, just like everyone else has been advocating, turn in your recycle bins. We have that option. It's not mandatory, brings down your rate to $61, $62, somewhere in that area, which puts you close to the $59 rate, and you just don't have the recycle feature. Now, some people may want that, but that was one of the things that happened as a result. So I'll keep diligent. I'll keep recommending to the council when I see things like this, and hopefully that, you know, they will see that we should not depend fully on the administrator completely. There needs to be more oversight. And that's what I keep advocating, more oversight over the administrator, because there's very much, so much trust over that administrator that we depend on his word. And so there needs to be a check and balance system at all times in order for us to look at those things and not overlook these features in all aspects of our city business. There has to be that check and balance system. And the only one that can really do that is the council. The mayor has that authority if the council gives him that authority to do so. He has it anyway under the local government code, but I think that
Point of order.
overall, we will have the service that we need, and we're kind of stuck with this contract until, you know, something else happens, but we can reduce it
Point of order.
by, you have to be recognized first, Mr. Sines.
No,
Second-
under Robert's
second-
rules, point of
second
order does
motion.
not need to be recognized.
Point
sir.
of order. Go ahead.
Second the motion
No.
for
No, no,
the,
you don't have a
There's
motion.
not a motion. It's
Mr.
just a point of
Mr.
order.
Mr. Becerra, again, remember your parliamentary procedure. Ask the chair for recognition before you even start talking. Okay? Mr. Sines, go ahead and make your point of order. Your point of order is recognized. Go ahead and make the point of order, and then I'll overrule you.
Thank you for that, sir. So under Robert's rules, point of order does not need to be recognized by
Okay,
the chair.
go
So,
right ahead. We already recognized.
so thank you.
Go right ahead.
Also, the city council does have the authority to appeal the chair's
I don't
decision
wanna get in
based on,
discussion too much about.
well, I'm
this,
just
too
saying,
much.
you're
If you
gonna,
can-
you're gonna,
If you can get to your point so we can go about. our
trying to,
business.
but I'm
Let's-
trying
let's-
to,
Let's deal with the garbage,
can I please speak, sir?
if you will stick to
Thank
the
you.
item on the agenda.
So you were making points about the city administrator, which is not on the city agenda. The
Okay.
agenda item is strictly about the waste management. And we've already discussed that as a city council, already provided the information to the residents. I do want to clarify, though, that the city administrator in his presentations did provide the information. We were well aware that Republic was raising the rates beyond the contract rate that the contract stated they could. And they were raising it to $24.30. And Mr. Burton is agreeing with that. So we were aware that they were raising their prices substantially. The reason we chose Frontier was because the rates that they were proposing were less than what Republic was proposing.
So your point of order is?
Well, first, the point of order is that you were discussing something that wasn't on the agenda when you were discussing or saying that there's a need for more oversight over the city administrator.
I
That's not on the
overruled-
agenda.
I overrule that point of order. Let's
Well,
move
I
on.
will appeal that
Let's go ahead
over.
and move on.
Uh,
Okay,
May I make a comment?
yes, go ahead, Mr. Burton.
I think if I can unring this bell a little bit, I think we need to do as a council, do our due diligence to inform the public better. Y'all wouldn't be up here tonight if we'd have done our job. So I hope that y'all understand what we did and why we did it. And it was in the best interest of the residents. So I think lesson learned, we can we can do better at informing the citizens of, before it comes to this. And to Mr. Gillian's question about the smaller amount for the recycling in the second one, was it every 2 weeks for recycling? If you get it every, can you explain it better than I do?
So the 660 is if you get recycle it once a week. The 440 was if you got it every other week.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just
And-
for.
Oh, I'm
finish-
sorry. I'm
you
sorry.
finish? No, go ahead, Mr. Burton.
I was gonna say, I'm done with the floor, but I think,
Okay.
Ms. Cantu wanted to speak.
Okay, yeah, and I was gonna call her in just a minute. So just so you understand, Councilman Sines and everyone here, so they understand, a point of order is a formal statement or question that brings attention to a violation of the rules. I didn't violate any rules or procedures during a meeting or a debate. It's a way to draw the chair's attention to an issue such as a member speaking without being recognized, unparliamentary language, a lack of quorum, a breach of relevance or repetition rules.
So a breach of relevance when
Where
you're talking
it's
about something
relevant
that's
because-
not on the agenda?
Excuse me, you need to be recognized to speak again. So a breach of relevance or repetition rules, a misunderstanding of the procedures. None of those I did. Mr. Perales, again, you need to be recognized.
I'm asking to
Mr.
be
Perales-
recognized.
Mr. Perales is relevant to this subject.
May
He
be
was
recognized.
involved- Excuse me, he was involved. So let's move on. We're not going to argue this. We're not going to take the people's time up with this. Let's move on with the items on the agenda.
So you
So-
won't recognize me?
No, I will not.
Thank you.
So because we need to move forward with this business, we're not going to get in an argument. We're not going to allow that anymore. So Ms. Cantu, please come on up now and speak and you weren't on the forum, but I'm.
Mr.
Welcome.
Rodriguez, counsel, my apologies for not signing up. I did not intend to speak on this matter because I knew it would be taken care of by Mr. Gillian since we had discussed it all. I did in fact immediately send my recycle bin back when I did receive my postcard. The reason why I asked to speak, Mr. Rodriguez and counsel, is I did receive an email this afternoon at 5:07, and I wanted to bring this to your attention. I didn't know the representatives were going to be here this evening, but I'm glad they are. Would you like for me to read this short email that I received? I'm not sure that all residents will receive it unless it's going to be sent to us by mail, but I did receive mine by email.
Where's that on the presiding officer, but are we okay with that?
If not, I'll be glad to give it to you and you can read it.
Yeah, just as long as under procedure. No problem.
You
Ms.
can have her read
Cantu.
it or
I
you.
just want to make sure we're good. Right ahead.
Thank you.
Mhm.
At Frontier Waste, we're always looking for ways to improve our service and add value to your relationship with us. And we're expected to let you know that we'll no longer be mailing your bill on a postcard. Beginning with your next and upcoming bill, you'll be receiving a full-page invoice that's easier to read and will have a pre-addressed coupon for easy return mailing. For our residential customers, you'll also be receiving a return envelope to mail your payment in. So no more envelope addressing, just place the coupon and your payment in the envelope we provide and postage and place in the mailbox. And even better yet, you could take this opportunity to sign up for email invoice delivery and auto pay for a hassle-free experience. To sign up for email invoicing and auto pay, just take a moment to reply to this email and one of our customer service representatives will reach out to you. We know you have a choice in waste removal and we're appreciative that you chose Frontier Waste. And the way I read it is this email again was sent out to those of us that have email. My concern was for the residents that don't. So I wanted to share this. Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Cantu. We have Frontier Waste representatives here. Mr. Ciro Cantu, señor Cantu,
Mayor.
¿querías todavía hablar con la gente o todo ya está completido? Okay, come on up to the podium, please, if you're gonna.
Mayor, may I say something?
Let him finish.
All right. It's regarding Frontier.
The only thing that I want to ask is why they didn't tell us that recycle can be canceled? Why? I mean, you're supposed to, know the people. They don't want to spend their money like this, okay? The way I told you about it. What you're supposed to do is, you know what? Let's tell everybody that if they don't want recycle, they're gonna pay less. Okay, even if it's $1, doesn't matter. If it's $1, doesn't care, as long as it's less. All you gotta do is tell the people, everybody, you know what? If you return the trash can, you will get less payment. So what we'll do? Throw the trash can away. Let's tell, everybody, send a letter to everybody in Balcones and tell them, hey, if you send the can back, you will save money. Okay, that's what we want, save money. We don't have the money just to throw it away. Okay? We don't even know how much you make it. You must make it a lot of money because I don't make that much money. See, if you make it, it's fine with me. But don't let us throw our money away that we don't have. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunphy. Mr. Lara, there was a point that Mr. Councilman Sellers pointed out to me earlier. If we can put the forms in Spanish, for those that don't in the future, anybody else that may want to come forward, just put a little thing on there. Spanish.
Thanks, Mayor.
Councilman
I,
Sellers.
with regards to your comment about the representative.
Yes, sir.
I called them on the phone and gave them the opportunity to be here to answer questions. Obviously, they refused.
So we don't have representatives from Frontier? No, there's a gentleman here. Would you like to come up, sir? Is there anybody else? I'd like the representative from Frontier. And mind you, I don't really blame Frontier for anything. They're just a recipient of the services they're providing. It's in our staff caused the issue and problem. By presenting those emails that were communicated about the change, the difference, and explaining clearly the process before the council made a decision.
All right. Hey, good morning or good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Sorry, it's been a long day for me. But hey, I do want to address a couple of items that were brought up. One, Mr. Lara kind of already addressed it. During that bid process and the RFP process, our form that we responded to gave us only limited options to put in the cost of recycling for once a week pickup and then bi-weekly or every other week recycling. So there is a little bit of confusion on that chart, but if you read in our response, we do put in parentheses that this is an every other week service for that reduced rate. The second piece is, I think there's education as far as recycling process, which I'm going to dive into as soon as I get out of here tonight. The communication that we responded to Mr. Lara a couple of days ago through my operations manager, Greg, was saying that, hey, we have two options to reduce costs. For one option really is to go to that every other week service. That is part of our cost structure that we provided to the city during the bid process. And that was part of our way to, recover our capital investment in order to service the city over the life of the contract. So I'm going to dive into, who's telling citizens and members of the council on, hey, you can turn in your cart to reduce that fee. That is not, but the only option to reduce that cost is to go to that every other week service, which would be that $440. Additionally, the other way for reducing costs is to go to once a week pickup on trash. If there's appetite for that, we can make that change. But based on our response to the RFP, those are the pricing options that we gave to the city.
There is a problem with that because I turned in my can. I've already paid the $82, the first fee. And then one of the citizens contacted me and said they had turned in theirs. And so there was a reduction to $62 or $61,
Yep.
61.5 of that. So how do you explain that then?
So again, that goes back to that communication from the side of the house, which I'm going to investigate and figure out who's given that information. The stance is he provided pricing through the bid process, and that pricing is what we responded to. So
you're saying then the citizens are then stuck with the 82, is it 82, 84? $82 fee,
No,
okay?
So I'm-
Well, I mean, you have the option of the one time out of the week,
right.
reduce the amount, but most people have trash that need required 2 times out of the week. And this is something that I think that council and the city administrator should have reviewed very carefully before adopting this contract for 5 years. This is terrible for our citizens, terrible.
Yeah, so, and I do want to let you guys know, I am new to the company within the last 4 months, so I was not a part of that formal bid process. But I'm very familiar with the contract. And that's why I'm saying there are options in there where we can find a solution and partner with the city and the citizens to find a way to reduce that cost.
Let's
And-
work on that because you're hearing what the citizens are saying and you're hearing what we're saying. So I think we should diligently work towards some form of mutual collaboration to reduce those fees and make more acceptable for your end on cost and then our end on affordability.
I understand. And I'm also here,
Here's the other thing, if I may, what was your first name?
Mark.
Mark, one of the things to consider, if you look at the demographics in the census, our city has one of the lowest per capita income ratios in the entire region. So, you know, in here in this Bear County area. And so that's something to consider, obviously, that we need to look at. Most of our citizens are senior citizens that live here. The rest are apartment residents and business owners. There's only 300 homes that we service here, and I'm sure your company looked at that. And I hate to say, but you're the bearer of bad news.
Unfortunately, I
Yeah,
am.
you just started, so I feel for you, but let's see if we can work something out.
So, and I do want to address the cost piece, right? So, our stance from the company is, we're not out here to gouge, right? That's not what we are. That's not what, what we represent. There are serious costs that come into play when we look at servicing customers, whether it's residential, commercial side of the house, or the industrial roll-off side of the house. And just as an FYI, or just kind of to put it out there, when you look back 3 years ago, the cost of a truck for a side load, automatic side load truck was running about $325,000. Today, we're looking at $475,000. Right? So there is a substantial increase in costs to run in this industry, to run this business. That's just from the truck side. The cost of plastics are going up, right? Because of production costs. Disposal increases are going up. PFAS is a big issue within the waste industry. And as more regulations come into play with PFAS or those forever chemicals, that's going to drive landfill costs up. We have no control over the landfill costs. We do our best to go out and negotiate the best rates so that we can deliver that rate back to the customer or back to the citizens. But it is, that price structure accounts for our costs, right? And, obviously, we're a private company, even Republic Services, who I used to work for 11 years, they're a publicly traded entity. We're not in here to, go negative, which is why Republic Services gave you that big increase. But we provided a very comparable rate based on our cost structures that we see today.
So do I hear that we can sit down, you and I and the city administrator, and see if we can find some cost-cutting measures that might
Yes.
provide some temporary relief until we can move on
Yep.
to the next phase? Because we've got a 5-year contract with you, so it's a longevity thing right now.
Yep.
And I'm sure the citizens bear heavy on their mind. You hear what they're saying.
Yeah, and look, our goal is to be a partner, right? We are not just, again, we're not that Fortune 300 company, right? Our goal as a company is to be partners within the community and to give back as an organization, right? So we are Texas-based, we're Texas proud, that's our motto. And our CEO, John, has been in this market across the state for 30 plus years in this industry. So he takes it very seriously when we look at, hey, when we go to bid and when we provide rates to our customers, that we're doing it in an ethical way and that we're doing it in the most cost-effective way. So we're not passing on, undue burdens to the citizens and the businesses within that franchise or that municipality.
Okay. Well, then let's set something up. I'll put you to go ahead and contact Mr. Lotta. Let's set up a meeting, Mr. Lotta, for us three to meet and sit down, and then I'll bring it back to the city council, share it with them. And hopefully we can come to a cost-saving measure together.
Okay.
Considering that you are going to consider that for us. And I think hopefully we can work on a mutual collaborative arrangement for all of us.
And I don't know if it's appropriate, but I am here to answer questions from the citizens. So I don't know if that's
Absolutely. Does anybody have any questions for? Okay, come on up. If you can come up, if you can
We-
come
we
up
need
to
you at the
mic,
recording.
Please, just identify yourself by name and address, please, just so we have it on the
My
record.
name is Norma Gutierrez. I live on 238 Shady View. For those of us that have already negotiated with customer service and said, I opt out of recycling, you're saying that is null and void now?
No, I will honor as if anything that happened from.
Yeah,
today will
because this happened already days before.
happen.
That's a good sign that you're working with us. Unfortunately, like Mr. Cantu said, he wished that we would have been notified of that message, and then whether false or not, or whether it was incorrect or not, they would have had the opportunity to redress that.
Yeah, and
Everyone would be subject to that grandfathering in.
yeah, so-
I called it in. I'm gonna be subject to that myself.
yeah, and like I said, anything that's happened from today going back, I will honor that. I'm not gonna go, go back on that promise that we made to the customer. But this is the first that I'm hearing about that. Because our ops team, my senior district manager has been in contact with Mr. Lord, kind of explaining the, some of that confusion as far as that pricing schedule in the bid. But we find a way to work together on it.
Again, this is, in my opinion, a staff problem where we just aren't provided the full comprehensive picture. And those that may disagree with me, fine, but I believe that that's where the true problem lies. Okay, Councilman Burton, did we have any other citizens first? There were some others, I think. Come on up, ma'am. Identify yourself. Come on up, Mr. Herbert. Come on up.
Hi there, Michaela Resnicek, 218 Glenarm Place. I just, since you're here, wanted to let you know that I have not received a bill from Frontier. I did not know that our rates were increasing until my neighbor said, hey, have you seen that bill? So as I was sitting in this meeting, I went on the website, clicked the customer service link, said, I haven't gotten a bill. So I would say to you that communication from your company, I think, has not been great. I would also say to council, just FYI, that I didn't know that we were switching companies until my Republic Services trash cans just disappeared one day. I had no clue it was happening. I called Republic and said, what happened? Why are my trash cans gone? They said, we'll deliver them on Tuesday. And then my Frontier trash cans appeared with a note from Frontier. So the communication on this entire thing has been very poor. I did learn that I need to go back now and read city council minutes apparently to understand what's happening, but I haven't had any communication from your company. 218 Glenarm Place.
Your name was?
Michaela Resnicek. And I heard that the bill came in like a postcard form. I was signed up with Republic with online bill pay, online communication. So I didn't know to even look for something that would come in paper form if I was already having communications via email. So I heard.
Which was on the postcard. So our typical process, just for everybody's awareness, is, when we find out that we have won a contract, typically have 6 months plus to do a transition. I think this one was condensed a little bit. So normally we send out a bunch of mailers, a bunch of flyers. So if that address isn't correct on listings that we get, then that kind of goes off into the nether space. But we typically like to send multiple forms of communication. Your cart should have had a little bag attached to it.
Yes, that just had a website, but it
Yeah.
didn't say anything about how I would receive a bill or how I would be billed.
Yeah. So, and then we also make, phone calls, reach out to customers direct, depending upon how city contracts are set up. So there are multiple ways that we reach out. We just drop the ball. So I do
Yep.
apologize for
Yep. Well, I will look for a bill. Hopefully I want to continue getting services.
Thank you, Ms. McKaylee.
Couple of questions. If I decide to turn in my recycle bin, will I still get the twice a year pickup on the bulk brush and everything? Okay, thank you. And also, I noticed the truck that comes by to pick up my cans, there's a driver and 2 people on the truck. Y'all don't have robotic trucks?
sometimes. So there's a whole host of things that can happen throughout the day. So higher volume of, other areas will
Because I would think that would cost you more money to have that rather than robotic trucks.
Yeah, our trucks are set up to be automated. This-
Okay, so if you're coming through our neighborhood with, and not using the robotic truck, then the guys have to dump it manually.
Correct. That's at no extra cost to you. That's something I have to bear.
That's something you have to bear. Okay, but if I use my own can and turn your cans in and didn't wear and tear your cans, why can't they dump my can?
So,
They used to 20 years ago.
yeah, so that's not the process anymore. So the trucks are designed to pick up certain types of containers and
Uh-huh.
they have to meet those standards efficiently and safely.
Okay, because I'm looking ways to cut my costs is why I asked those questions. Thank you for your time. Thank
sir.
you.
Thank
Mayor.
you very much. Ms. Cantu, did you want to address anything?
Had a comment, thank you, Mark, for the information. I had a comment to Michaela. If I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong. When this change was made to Frontier, I believe it was in the newsletter, was it not?
Cans were already delivered.
But, okay, great.
Both in paper and in email, but it was
Great.
after I got the new can. so it was
Okay.
Too little, too late.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilman Burton.
I just wanted to say that, my experience with Frontier's call center, y'all pick up the phone. It's unbelievable. You call the number, the number I called was on the postcard and it put me right into Hillsborough. So I was talking with someone from, if that helps your investigation.
Yes. So I do want to say our call center here, we do have one local in Poteet where our hauling yard is. And then our other call center is in Hillsborough. So 9 times out of 10, if you're going to call us, you're talking to somebody in South San Antonio in that Poteet area.
I just
Just as a
called
reference.
on the postcard and,
Yeah.
and maybe a suggestion for, just to help the seniors a little bit, maybe a senior discount. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just, for people who are struggling.
Okay.
So living off
Understand.
Social Security and, but no, my experience with you guys has been so far so good.
Yeah. But I do want to make it very clear that we're here to partner with the city and the residents. And we'll do everything within our power to, find creative solutions. And that's what we're about. It's creative solutions, hence the name Frontier Waste Solutions. So it may take some time, it may not, kind of depends on what the mayor and Mr. Lara want to discuss and, throw out some of the options that I'd like to hear from y'all. But we're open to feedback and thinking outside the box.
So that we're on the same page for all the citizens. If people like me that got their recycling can picked up, I'm still gonna get charged now still for recycling. I'm just not gonna have a can to deal with. So
No, I
just-
think,
just so
I
that
think
we're-
what he said, Councilman Burton, was he will honor the discount of the $61.
So-
You're
so-
just not going to get the recycling service.
Right.
You're
No,
not
no,
gonna
no,
get
no.
charged
We'll,
for it.
we won't
You're not
get
gonna
the
get charged
recycling
for it.
service. But it's honored up until today,
Yes, pretty much so. That's why
after
I'm saying.
today, you're gonna get charged for.
Right,
recycling.
and that's what Mr. Cantu was saying about, everyone should have been told that.
And that's why I said we could have done a better job. We should have done a better job. I should have done a better
Okay,
job.
well, good thing is you've indicated you have a desire to work with us and to build on trust and long-term relationship we're gonna have, and I'm really glad to hear that. If you give me your name and title again?
It's Mark Chapin, CHAPPEN. I'm the area vice president for Central Texas.
Thank you, Mark, for being here.
May I have your phone number?
Area code 210-774-7765.
Thank you, Mark. I'll look forward to hearing back from our city administrator. We'll move forward, bring it to the council, at least inform them about it, and then we'll implement it. We probably won't need any council action. It'll be something that you're helping us with, helping the citizens.
Look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much. Look forward myself. Okay. We're finished. We have any other comments? We're done with this. Let's move on now. Item number 2. Do we have any action item we're going to take on this? I don't foresee anybody on the council taking any action. So let's move on. It's placed for action, but we're not moving on to that action. Let's move on to item number 2 very quickly. Discussion and possible action regarding the finalized framework for the selection of the city administrator. Mr. Lara?
So in your packets, I just updated the presentation with the new timeline based on our meeting. I also made the changes in red for the city administrator job description based on the feedback we got at the last meeting. And then I believe the proposed contract, correct? Did they get it? Proposed contract to the city administrator. So that one is not critical right this minute, but if you and send me your suggested changes so that I can go ahead and make it so that right and then send it back out. Y'all can then see the finalized version or finalize it. So y'all have it ready. So when you do pick somebody, you'll have a contract to send with the offer letter. So subject to your questions, that's all I have.
Mr. Lara, did you get the copy of the contract that I dropped off this morning for you?
The contract is was provided to all of them, right, Lisa?
I got them right here. I'm gonna send them, I'm gonna provide them to.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, but I apologize. I thought you all were provided. Anyway, Councilman Valverde was gracious enough to provide the contract. And so like I said, if you guys got changes, y'all have changes to that, just y'all can email me them and I can make those changes, put them all together and I'll again put it in red so you can see. And then at some point y'all have to either accept the changes or finalize it.
No questions, just comments on this thing here. I think the purpose for this is for the council to revise this. This is the former administrator's contract. And you can see where I red lines and made some changes. The changes are in bold letters. And these are just my ideas. You may have different ones, but the whole purpose for this tonight is to look at it and then we can get together and discuss it, make your own changes or your own suggestions, and we can get together and discuss it. We need to move pretty quick on this thing because Mr. Lara already updated the job description. Am I right, Mr. Lara?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes. So the job description and we have the contract. And the next thing I'm going to be bringing up will be the evaluation form to match the job description. And there's something else I cannot remember right now. I had a senior moment. Anyway, we need to move pretty quick on this because once we hire or start interviewing city administrators, they need to have all this information. Thank you, Mayor.
You, Councilman Valverde. Do we have anyone else that wants to be recognized to discuss this item?
Mayor, can we take a break so that we can read this? This is the first time I'm seeing this.
I think what Mr. Valverde was saying, it's not for adoption right now, it's for consideration so that you can provide it and have the time to review it, look at it, and then put your own suggestions or accept or reject for the next council meeting that we have.
Yes, Mayor, exactly. It's not to take action right now. Just take it home, read it,
It's an FYI.
and think about it and make your own changes, your own ideas or whatever. And we'll come back and then we'll finalize one.
Anyone on Mr.
Oh.
Burton? Councilman Burton?
I don't want to make it too hard to find somebody, you know, because we're using TML, right?
That's what we'll use once y'all give me permission to the job description and then any other, if you want Indeed, that costs money, but TML, you should get a good response at TML. I know Alma Spark got a good response.
I think to add to Mr. Valverde's summary here, maybe a little bit of experience in grant writing to help us.
That's another thing that could be on the job description. Yeah, this is just the contract, the working conditions and the pay and, benefits. That's it. Thank you.
No, no, thank you. Good job.
Councilman Burton, anything else?
Good job. Thank
Okay.
you, Mr. Valverde.
Did you need something?
I just want to
Councilman
suggest
Sellers?
that we, take this home and read it, make adjustments that we feel each one of us, and maybe come back on the 14th on a workshop, whatever, add it to the workshop or some other time, make a decision. That's all.
Anyone else?
Mayor, I just want to add that in the past, ICMA, the International City Manager Association, also takes advertisements at no cost.
Yes.
So that's another option besides TML.
Yeah, we had discussed this way back. I had presented this 4 months, well, right after May. I put it on the agenda that we do an RFP process and go through the selection process. I brought y'all information from TML. So I'm really glad to see Mr. Lotta has taken the step to make it very transparent. There are some very direct steps that he's taking. So I think that if we just follow along the lines of Mr. Valverde's recommendations and kind of revise, review, and add or delete, at that point, we get those into the, so to speak, into the pocket, and then we can start moving forward. Mr. Lotta, do you need any direction right now, any action on our part to get you moving?
So y'all still want to review the job description, or if you're okay with the job description, then I can go ahead and post.
No, I think they want to review it.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that what I heard? Correct. Okay. Councilman Lucia?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not just limiting ourselves to TML, like the council was saying. If there's other entities that are available to provide the service, let's take it full advantage of that. I don't want to just narrow it down to one source.
Good point. Okay, anyone else? Any
Let's-
additional? Councilman Sellers?
Mr. Laura. On this staff report I printed out, it has a lot of, you say, knowledge, skills, and abilities, and duties, and summary, and questions, and guidelines. And I mean, is this something you posted? You have an example timeline?
Right, so that the example timeline was basically, that was my proposal to y'all on the timeline. That's looking at my own experience applying, how long cities usually keep these things open. They
So
usually,
this is different than what we got. It's not the same, it's different. This is
what you're holding, what you got today with the hole punch, that is the contract that once you actually select an individual, that is what he and y'all will negotiate.
and that's what we're gonna discuss at home. We're gonna review it at home and discuss it another time. And yeah, and I'm just,
Right, so the other document that I was asking for, if y'all are good with, was the job description, the one that has what's in red, doesn't have the holes in it. And that's basically was the original job description. Yes. That's the job description.
okay.
And so that's not my work. That was, the cities had that, and the city secretary provided me that job description that we
So
had.
the
on
job
file.
description on here, is that covering this here too?
No, sir. That, what you have with the 3 holes is a contract.
Contract.
Yes, that is what the city administrator will govern his relationship with y'all, right? The pay, valuations, what his duties and everything are based on his description. But anything you say that, hey, if he doesn't meet the descriptions, I'm assuming this would probably be an appendix to the contract so that he knows exactly what he got hired for. This is what you expect him to do.
So we can still use this when we interview.
Right. So y'all will create a bank of questions.
Okay.
Right. So y'all in the timeline, as I noted, once we get the ball rolling, then I'll ask y'all to go ahead and send me any question you want to ask the city administrator applicants, and then I'll compile them all together and make sure that, if there's a duplicate, like if somebody asks the same question, like how much money would you come to Balcones Heights for? Well, if 3 people ask for it, I'm just going to put it down once. And then once I put them all together, share them with y'all, if you all finalize it, then you'll have your bank of questions for the interview.
Thank you, Councilman Sellers. So just real quick, Mr. Lotta, to my colleagues, I just would suggest 2 things here. One, maybe y'all might want to reconsider saving yourself all the trouble of this and hiring a professional, executive search firm that we went to see and spend the money to do that so that you get the process done for you. 1, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. 2, if we're going to do it and we move forward, I suggest to you and recommend to you that if you like, we have 12 days between now and the next city council meeting. If you would like to put the work in sooner, I could call a special meeting again and we could have a quick workshop to hammer out the details and be ready either to make a decision on that day or we can make a decision on the council day for the 18th. It's just a recommendation so that we can either move forward and collect evidence quickly, collect the information between now and then we can call a special meeting within the time limits prescribed and then move forward with that. And then go and execute on the 18th during the council meeting. Totally up to your purview. You want to consider that, send me an email or something during the time that you have an opportunity during the week with enough time and I'll call a special meeting. Okay, no action taken. Councilman Burton, closing?
I'm curious, Mr. Lysia, was that what you were suggesting with going with a different than just TML and city managers?
No, just keep going the way we're doing, but take advantage of all the entities that we would not have to pay.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
So no further discussion. Let's go ahead and close out this item on the agenda. There's going to be no action taken for now, Mr. Lotta. And then we'll hear from the council members during the week between now and the next few days to see if they want to entertain a special meeting to get ahead. So we will now adjourn. No, we have another item. I don't see it. Where's it at?
We have item number.
Oh, that's right. Got the console on the dispatch. I want to get out here. Okay, item number 3, discussions, forgive me. Discussion and action to authorize city administrator enter an agreement with XBix for council furniture. So this is a situation in which I helped get us some equipment and it should be a no-brainer, but I'll let Mr. Lotta carry the torch on this.
Okay, so Chief John O'Hara was working very diligently with Bear 911 as well to follow up as was requested. And so all of a sudden out of the blue, they finally said, hey, we have an agreement here. We need y'all to sign it for $77,110, and that's to put in console furniture. That's all this is addressing. But you have to understand that this furniture has to be there first before they can do the 911 upgrade to bring in the equipment. So, so when they initially brought it in, however you say that name of the IBIX, they said we would get reimbursed by the county. The chief worked with the county representative, and we had to send in a request to get reimbursed. And those were the 2 letters that you got, documents that you received. And then we finally got a letter from the actual county that says that they would reimburse us. So the cost is $77,000. They want to get started right away, and so that way they can be done right now, tentatively sometime in January 2025, and then after that they can do the 911 upgrade. There will be some issues down in the dispatch office, and the chief's going to work with the dispatch supervisor to make sure, do we have to move the dispatchers out of there temporarily so that they can move faster and get it done? But that's the nuts and bolts that we'll do. But anyway, I need your permission to sign that agreement. And I gave you that letter that says the county says they're gonna reimburse us. Don't know the mechanism, don't know how long they're gonna do it, but they said they would do it. They would reimburse us.
Mayor? Yeah,
Yes.
no,
Um,
I just wanted to know if we could have put this out for bids right away. Why do we have one company and not multiple
Because this is.
bidding on this?
This is provided by the county. This is their contractor. We don't have a choice. This is who the county has selected. And since they're paying for it, even though we're gonna have to pay for it up front, they're gonna give us the money back. This is who they contracted with. So we have no choice.
Councilman Sellers, may I clarify for you?
Yes.
So basically what happened was Bear Met 911 is a service that we subscribe to. And I met with the chairman Haslocker and with Brett Schneider. They offer these services to all cities pretty much that ask for it. You have to ask for it. So I had a meeting with him and I said, what kind of free services do you offer? What kind of equipment? I would like to upgrade because there's talk of outsourcing our dispatch and I don't want that to happen. So I would like to see if instead of us going out to contract our services and pay someone else, can we be the recipient, upgrade our equipment so we could be the one to take on other cities and charge them for dispatch services? He said, by all means, we have that service for you available. We can provide ergonomic chairs. We can provide you with brand new electronic equipment, all of that for free. So I set up a meeting with him and his staff. They came down, about 6, 7 people. Chief John O'Hara and I met him and his staff. We went through the dispatch office. They drew it out, found out where they can put this equipment at, what kind of upgrades. They even are going to upgrade all the wiring to make it more efficient for core delivery emergency services. It's all free. So we don't have a hand in choosing because it's not really we're bidding for it. It's a free service they're giving us. And so all they require is for us to put the money up front, pay for it, and then they will have the money redeposited back into our account to reimburse us full costs for everything, not just the chairs. That's just the first phase. The next phase will be the equipment. And that's where the hardware comes in. Then whatever costs, and I just put in a call today to Mr. Schneider and just asking him if indeed there's going to be another cost like this that we just got to reimburse, then just to let me know, Pan, how much it is, and then we can facilitate that. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's not a bid. Because it doesn't require a vote. It just requires.
It
one
doesn't even
now.
require prior knowledge.
Yeah, no, you had prior knowledge when we brought it before you months ago. It was completely disclosed. Everything was explained to you like I'm doing right now. And so all it is them responding saying, we've got this free equipment for you. We're going to upgrade your dispatch with the most up-to-date equipment for free, up-to-date furniture, up-to-date chairs for your staff. We're going to redesign your entire dispatch service and your building inside for the section that it is for free. All you need to do is just pay for it up front and we'll reimburse you for the cost. It's as simple as that. What's that? No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just a simple bypass is what it is. It's no, here's the way the simplistic way I can put it for you. You know how the city borrowed the 500,000 from the investment pool, moved it over to the general operating fund or the funds like that temporarily until the ad valorem tax kicks in? Then that's what we're doing. We're just borrowing for a little bit until we get the money from them, and then we put it right back into the bank. That's it. And so it's not a bidding process or anything like that. It's just a free service. We put the money up front and they reimburse us to upgrade completely our dispatch services, which is going to be a total addition for our citizens. Mr. Burton? Yes, sir.
My questions haven't changed from this afternoon. I guess my first one goes out to Mr. Messick. Where would this 77,000 come from?
It's in the capital fund. It would be paid for at initially.
And is there any, have we done this before with anything from Bear where we get reimbursed?
Equipment wise and for dispatch, not that I know of. I know you're talking about the lofts.
I
but
was wondering
that was a
on an
county
ETA when
project,
we
but-
would, that's why I expressed.
And CDBG is a county thing, so we get our invoices, they'll tell us exactly how to fill everything out, we submit it, and then we get a check.
And it's not a burden if it takes a little while. I mean, not years, but I mean, they're usually pretty quick.
And then, for Mr. John Hara, I'm sorry, Chief John Hara, we were gonna have to do an upgrade anyway at some point. I don't know what the timeline is for 911 Vista.
The Vista,
Your upcoming 911 Vista system upgrade. We were gonna have to, at some point, when we get the new equipment, we were gonna have to upgrade anyway, if we didn't even do this.
well, 2 years ago, approaching 2 years, council approved all the upgrades. So everything's upgraded as far as the two Symphony consoles to be compatible with the encryption. SAPD and Bear County have postponed that for the little cities for like us. But we're up to speed on that. That's when y'all upgraded the radios as well. I'm not sure as far as, but as far as Daily Wells handles all of our.
When we get the hardware, that's what I'm referring to.
So
We're getting the consoles, workstations.
It's just furniture.
Yes,
This is just furniture.
workstations
Yes, sir.
and chairs.
Yes,
for
sir.
For the 77,000.
No, the chairs are separate. That's completely separate. That was the first that we're waiting for on the chairs. And this is the second
We haven't
portion of
received the chairs?
No, sir, haven't received the chairs.
And we talked to Mr.
What's that?
We haven't received the chairs yet.
Yeah, we've been waiting for Chief John Hara to get word from the Bear Met. I've been on top of it where I've been keeping posted and asking him about what the progress is, and he mentioned that the work orders were still in progress.
So the 77,110.06 is doable. It's not going to put a strain on our 3-month.
No, sir. The 3 months is for the general fund. This would be in the capital fund. Fund balance right now about 1.7 million. So it's not a problem.
Okay. I think we should still follow through with this. I don't know.
I
My
do.
colleagues feel. I would,
May I be
Yes,
recognized?
yeah, just 1 minute. I just want to make one quick little observation. Chief John Hara, you may want to change your letterhead to Mr. Snyder. You misspelled his name with Mr. Bet Snyder instead of Brett. So you might want to just send him a correction, say, sorry for the typo on the very top of your letter. See how you put B-E-T-T instead of B-R-E-T-T? Brett. Your November 4th, 2024 letter. Go ahead, Councilman Sines.
Thank you. So I just want to confirm that I understand what this covers. So this is $77,000 are we paying up front, be reimbursed for the workstations, the desks themselves. Are there any other costs that are associated with this that
There may
will
be
be
some.
covered? So like if there's electrical work or if there's any kind of
Right.
additional work that's
the
involved
electrical
with it.
work, I think we're kind of okay, I think of that, but I mean, if there's any painting or, because when the consoles go in, then we may have to paint because something gets.
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that. But I
something,
mean,
right.
if there's
But
any
it's-
kind
it's-
of
it's all
electrical
gonna-
or structural work or anything like that.
No structural work, I don't think. They didn't mention any of that, so. So it'd be minor.
Okay.
Anyone else?
And-
Councilman
and-
Lysia?
Yes, in reading the agreement, it calls for us paying 90% of the cost up front, 50% on ordering, and then 40% on delivery. Says we cannot proceed until we have all their insurance, certificates of insurances. And I also read that all their contract is written to the state of Colorado rules. Do we need to change that? Also, it does not include any electronic works, meaning disconnecting or anything of that nature. Is that going to be an additional cost that we would have to incur that's not reimbursed to us? Also, it calls for lighting and air into the individual systems that are not included in the contract, but are included in the price down at the bottom.
Right.
Under 4.8, it also calls that the contractor, us, the city, is responsible for taking all true and accurate measurements. Any measurements that fail, we still own the equipment. So I'd like to know who's going to be responsible for that. Also, Chief, is the bypass window, the pass-through window, a requirement or a necessity for dispatch?
Well, the window, I'm gonna start working backwards, Mr. Councilman Lucia. So the window, there is no requirement for the window. I just know that through the years, as far as after-hour operations and being that there was only one dispatcher, it works better with that like teller window.
Right, okay.
I call it a teller window. So there's no requirement for that. As far as the measurements, this has been ongoing probably for I want to say they made site probably within the last 3 months. So there's also spec designs because there was option 1 and option 2. Option 2 was lower than option 1. Option 1 was closer to 90,000. This one was at priced at 77. Option 1 targeted if you're standing in dispatch right before you exit, there's a juvenile holding cell, which per Texas rules will never put a juvenile in that cell unsupervised. Well, they wanted to knock down that wall and create another area for another console in the future if we ever wanted to upgrade. So we just decided on the plans, the 2 that you see when you walk into dispatch plus the supervisor that's always been catty corner before you exit, that would be the 3rd upgrade as well. So we just utilized to save costs altogether in just that area in that room. And altogether, it's redesigning furniture, carpet. It's like the whole package.
Okay. And the reason I asked, because in the document that says is if that bypass window is in the way, it's going to get eliminated, and then we would have to find means or resourcing to get that up and running.
Oh, okay.
So that was the other thing.
Yes.
Also notice it doesn't call for any equipment or any electronics work at all. No disconnecting, no nothing. That is to be provided by others, and it's not specified in the contract.
That was another phase in our step that we actually had to go through. And we didn't want to task IT with the plugs. So several of us, to include Corporal Geary, our current supervisor, we actually had to make selections on the plugs. So from what I understand, they're going to gut everything out and then reconnect everything. So we had to already specify on the different plugs that we were having to utilize, but nothing specific as to having to add any electrical plugs in the area.
Okay, and just so we understand, the way I read the contract is everything's going to be ready. They're not going to disconnect anything. They're not going to unplug anything. That's up to somebody else to do it. Is the way I read the agreement going through the whole thing.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to make sure that we're not going to get hit with a bill because we didn't catch that.
I'll double check to make sure, and thank you for catching that. But the way they made it sound is they're coming in, gutting everything, and then replacing and reconnecting all of our equipment, but I'll double check. on
Okay,
that.
thank you. And then the last comment I have is, do we have every piece of equipment that's needed and required by whatever agency says that we have everything we need? In particular, because I have the access to get into dispatch, I've visited several times, the recorders, do we have the recorders in place? I know that's been an issue. I know we
Yes, sir.
approved it. I think we should make sure we have all the equipment that is mandated, needed before we go to painting the walls or adding furniture, is my opinion.
No, sir. To answer the question, we don't have the recording device that captures 911 calls. We fall back on, I believe it's Spectrum that we utilize for, once again, Corporal Geary and the current supervisor, Juan Perez, have figured out a way to capture certain calls. A lot of people utilize the non-emergency, but we haven't had, since the upgrade, the recording device itself. So that's a very important piece of part that we need ever since we had the upgrade. The old portion of the recording device wasn't compatible with the new system, so we're still missing that piece.
Okay. That's pretty much my comments. I'll make sure that we have everything that's needed and mandated before we go to painting or anything of that nature. And then also, I'm sorry, with this agreement, Mr. Lara and anybody else, is there any verbiage in there that says we have to keep dispatch in operation for X number of days, months, years.
I'm not aware.
But there's no other document anywhere, no other agreement anywhere that says we have to stay in operation for, because we got this equipment. There is no contingency to receiving this equipment or money.
Not that I'm aware of.
No, sir. Let's say if I can address that, Councilman Alsea. That's one of the discussions that I had with the young lady from ex-Vix, Kayla Butler. She's been phenomenal from day one. I guess it's a company that they contract from Bear Met 911. And I went ahead and I told her about our situation. This is because it started before y'all had agreed that we were going to vote and keep dispatch. And so I had told her, I said, I need to make sure first, even though it's free money from Bear Met 911, I would hate to take the money and it could be utilized somewhere else, but this is where we're at. She didn't want to hear it. She says, hey, we're going to move forward with it as if y'all are going to, the council's going to vote on it and move forward. So she continued her due diligence and helped us with this project. So luckily everything turned out in the favor that we were going to, and y'all voted keeping dispatch. So, but she knew about that. She knew about that. The company knew about it. And of course, Mr. Eddie Taylor from Bear Met 911 also was aware of that too. So, but to answer the question, no, sir. There is no contract saying that we have to keep dispatch running for a year, 2 years, 3 years, no minimum after the upgrade is completed or we sign the contract.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Burton?
This is basically furniture and workstation and installation. The hardware comes next after that. Are we getting hardware from?
There's a 911 upgrade that comes. Without this, that won't happen.
Right. And does anybody know if there's going to be an upfront cost for the hardware?
That's what the mayor said. He was going to make a phone call to verify.
Okay.
See if there's
But if there will be, it would be my understanding that it would be the same principle and process that we're going through right now. Just another pay up front and then we reimburse you. The way I it was conveyed to me by the chairman and Brett Schneider, executive director of Bear 911, was that this is all free. It's completely 100% free, other than you pay for it up front and that you get reimbursed. And this is what they offer their subscribers that, inquire about it to see what services to upgrade your core delivery services and your dispatch services. And I did it because I saw that the council was heading in the direction of trying to eliminate or outsource our dispatch. And I tried to find an answer, an alternative to maybe instead of us paying somebody else to outsource our dispatch, we be the ones to be the recipient of any funds that we can offer our services. And then once all this is installed and everything in the process, I'll be in touch with Mr. Schneider, because he had expressed at the very beginning when we discussed this, that they would help us acquire and communicate with some of the cities that require these services that this upgrade will be able to service. And about the only thing that we'll be looking at in the future would be the possibility that if it requires more manpower, then of course that would be on us, not them. But we would have the equipment available whenever that demand requires it. Hopefully that we don't. Yeah. Anyone else? That's it? You want to close on it?
On the table for tonight.
Just
Are
to
we
approve.
going to
Give
take
Mr. Lara-
action?
Go ahead,
We
Mr.
need to sign it.
We're going to take action?
I need action to sign it because I'm not
So,
authorized to sign
do
for
we-
that figure.
Do we want to go ahead and just move for action? You want to,
No, yeah.
one last comment?
Before we move forward, what are we going to do to make sure we get the recorders?
That would be a question for your chief of police.
Chief, what would be the timeline or the procedure to make sure that we get the recorders in? I mean, I feel that's a critical piece of the component that should be taken care of first before we move forward with anything else.
Yes, sir. So from my understanding, Councilman Alsea, that was approved in the upgrade with the Symphony consoles. I'm not sure as far as where we're at with the budget. So at the time, 2 years ago, the recording system was $52,000. I've went ahead and sent an email out to Mr. Eddie Taylor. I haven't received any communication from him asking for either guidance or assistance in replacing the old with the new that's compatible. So I can just bring it back to council and give you an update on that. There's different companies, I guess, that can supply us with the recording devices out there that are compatible with what we need. I can bring back an update on that as soon as I find out. Because I was pretty sure that this question was gonna come up. And cosmetic wise, it looks great what we're gonna do, but we're just.
And that's where I'm concerned.
Yes, sir.
That, you know, we're gonna have a real pretty room, but we're not gonna have the equipment that we need. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
So, having that being said, I wish you would have provided that to me, Chief, because I had asked you to make sure you kept me abreast since I put you in touch with this company. And when we talked, I said, just keep me abreast. I'm not going to micromanage you. And I'll just want you to provide me with the information as it comes along. So in the future, if you see and foresee something like these things that are coming up, if you can get us an answer, possibly before the meeting, like any extra costs that might be looked at, or, you know, I think you mentioned you sent them an email, right? But if you can get ahead of the game a little bit further, then it'd be better for us to have, so you can respond to us with the proper information.
Could I address your comment, Mayor? When you brought the people in for the walkthrough, and we were all in the walkthrough downstairs, that was brought up. You had specifically said that you were going to get that for us, that recording device that you had spoken to Mr. Schneider, and that was going to be part of, I guess, the upgrade with dispatch. Mr. Schneider hasn't mentioned anything about that. The young lady, Ms. Alvarez, she works for Bearmat 911. They don't know anything about that equipment, so you were aware of it. And-
Okay,
And I had
I
informed you
understand,
about it.
but what I'm just saying is that I think what happened is just a communication breakdown, and in wherever it occurred. So I think we can just follow up and just call them like I did today, and we'll get an answer.
We'll follow.
Yeah, but I think for the initial, I would recommend the council move forward and just go ahead and adopt this and give Mr. Lotta instructions to sign. And then we can get this thing moving forward and move on to the next steps to get us moving. The longer you delay it, the longer it's going to create complications and possibly delays. Did you want to say one last thing?
Oh,
Okay, so let's go ahead and call for a vote on this, discussion and action. So, I'm sorry?
Mayor, we need a motion.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. That's what I call an action for it. So discussion and action to authorize city administrator enter an agreement with IBIX for council furniture. Do we have a motion to approve?
so moved.
Do we have a second to that motion? Calling second to the motion? Mr. Valverde?
Oh, I didn't second. I'm not gonna
Okay.
second.
All right, so we don't have a second to the motion? Okay, so dies for lack of a second. We won't be able to get the furniture in or anything like that. We wasted a bunch of time with these people's time and effort that they put into having this equipment for us. Would have been a nice addition for our dispatch. So again, falls on council's lap.
I'm sorry,
Let's go
Mayor,
ahead.
I didn't get that last.
I
comment.
just
May I be
want to,
recognized?
when I asked you, why wasn't we informed of this before? You said we didn't have to be informed of this before.
I did not say that.
Okay.
No, sir.
Um,
I did not say that. Never
Well-
told you that.
we were not informed of this prior. This is news to us. It's something that you did. We
It's just-
haven't had time to review this, to research it. But yet you still want us to vote on it. And that's
Point of order.
why,
Let's go ahead and move on.
that's why, you don't have a second.
Point of order. Let's move on. Let's move on to the
Mayor.
subject because
Mayor, may I be
we're already
recon-
finished up.
may I be recognized?
No, let's move forward. Let's call for adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn? From council members? Anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. So Mr. Valverde. Mr. Sines.
Aye.
Mr. Lucia.
Aye.
Mr. Sellers. Mr. Burton. Thank you, gentlemen. Good night.
Mayor,
Yes.
next time you want to threaten to kick me out, I ask.
I didn't threaten you. That's a fact. No, just stop. Leave me alone and walk away. Leave me alone. No, what I'll do is, next time you get out of hand, I'll remove you from the premises. I told you that, and I'll tell you again. So, yes, I do. Well, that's a different issue. That's a different issue. I agree with that. I agree with that, but I don't even want to debate with you right now. No, and I'll do it. You'll find out. Try me. And I'm tired of both of y'all messing around like that. I'm not gonna tolerate you, David, or anybody. You're gonna be put out the roof. It's a fact. We'll deal with it. Well, thank you, Mr. Sarah. How you doing, sir? How's everything? Thank you very much. You have a nice evening. Enjoy yourself. Thank you, sir. Have a good one. Good night.
Mayor,
God bless.
Mayor,
Yes.
we,
Oh, the time? Yes, we gotta say the time, right? Yeah. We already adjourned, but let's go ahead and just put the time for official. Stop with this nonsense. Please. 7:56 PM, so 7:55. And just so you two guys know, if you guys